remember talking to you about this in Yang 10 form. So it's just a reinforcement of what you've already heard, okay? And perhaps a refinement, because now your mind is a little bit more receptive to adding on a little bit more detail. So that's great. In Yang 16 and Yang 24 and every other Yang except Yang 10 form, the feet positions or alignment take on a new light. We tweak it from the 10 form. We don't just throw the 10 form, T stance, L stance, bow stance, sit back, sit down, out. It is embedded in Tai Chi Walk. So you remember me saying that the way Tai Chi is choreographed, you usually end up in the vicinity of where you began. So if I start my 24 and I do 24 movements up and down the sides and to the front, I will probably end right in front of this camera. Maybe a little bit here or maybe a little bit here, but right within this area here. Same with the 16. So something that we're doing, which is Tai Chi Walk and feet positions, are helping us to get back home. So when we do Tai Chi Walk, visually we are walking from one end of the classroom or the room to the opposite end without a problem, which means that if I start here, I shouldn't end up there, or there, or there, or there, or there, but straight back. Understand? So what is it that is helping us? We can zigzag because we do zigzag. But the second pattern, this is pattern zigzag, this is pattern straightaway. The straightaway is keeping us zigzag. The straightaway is keeping me to go to the opposite end of the room. If we do not do a straightaway, we will end away from our point of return. So can you see that if I don't plant this foot on an L stance on a line or parallel to the line, I'm going to go haywire, okay? So you need to follow what I say because there are people who still don't get it, okay? And in order to do justice to any Tai Chi, and especially the 16 which you're graduated into, you've got to get this down really, really well. It's not the hands that count, it's the feet, okay? So yes, some of you are auditory learners, some of you are visual learners, and some of you are a combination, and some of you are kinesthetic, so you want to be able to implant it in your body, and then that's how you learn. So if we say our hands are the direction in which we're to walk, we are straight up like this. We need to take a zigzag, and then we need to take a straightaway, and then we need to take a zigzag. All this motion is a pattern. So yes, you zigzag. Yes, you straightaway. Yes, you zigzag. Do you take another zigzag? No, because the pattern is dictated saying zigzag, straightaway, zigzag, straightaway, zigzag, straightaway. Can you say that? Zigzag. Do I hear everybody? All right, perfect. So your mind is taking in that information. Now the best part is that you've got to teach your mind that your body can follow that. That becomes then a little bit more of a challenge. To layer that, it's not so easy because we said zigzag straight away, zigzag straight away, zigzag straight away. And I said, you're right, but we're leaving out a transition. Everything that I did was right because we learned it's always a zigzag, straight away, zigzag, straight away. But we're not doing justice to our body and to the principles because there is no sit back, and there is no insubstantial foot. What do I mean? When we sit back or sit down on an imaginary stool, we allow all our energy to be stored in our back foot, because we learn that when we have 2 feet that are weighted and don't know which one should be going or being lifted off, we fall, we stumble, we create an accident. So Tai Chi says you need to be strict with yourself. You need to only move the insubstantial foot. The insubstantial is another way of saying the weightless foot, because we are safe to move that insubstantial foot because all our energy is stored on the opposite foot or the back foot. If the energy is stored and the weight is stored on the back foot, the forward foot can now pivot. We shift our weight because we know that in Tai Chi there are patterns. After one thing happens, the other thing happens and goes back and forth in a pattern. So this is the weighted. This is the insubstantial weightless. It can then turn out to a zigzag. Once it takes the step, it becomes a substantial to allow zigzag, what? Straight away. But how do I move this into a zigzag? I have to create an insubstantial weightless foot. I can't, because this is the bow step. So I have to sit back and sit down to accumulate or store all my weight or energy, to put this guy on my heel, because that's the best way I can now, from a straightaway, go into a zigzag. And it repeats. Once I take that zigzag, I need to root down to create a substantial, to then have an insubstantial that can come forward. And the pattern then repeats. Do you follow what I'm saying? Okay, following is really good, and following then with the power of what you have absorbed and understood is to put it into play within your own body. If you get what I say really down well, there's more in your body that we can refine and help you with. So I'll say it in another way. In all of Tai Chi, even if you want to go concrete and say Yang Ten form, what you learn is a platform. But what I can teach you in years or time to come, I can make you even a better Yang Ten performer. Because you know something, but there's more to learn, and that's called refinement and better use of your body. Okay? In the 10 form, we're pretty much stationary. In 16, 24, 88, and everything else, we're moving. And when you move, you don't have those borders or perimeters in which you have to stop. You're turning, you're swirling, you're adding a finishing touch, but only because your system is dictating, not because you want to do that, because that looks nicer, because it's only now wrist and hand and finger positioning, okay? So that will all come, okay? That will all come, but we cannot layer it too much and say, do this, do that, use your hip, blah, 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 because right now you're trying to get the basics in, okay? And slowly, when you get it really firm, we can then start to show you how you can get it a little bit better. Sometimes we don't have to show individuals. Sometimes it just grows on you like, wow, I can do it better because now I've got the basics and now I can refine what I'm doing, okay? So we're gonna put into play what we just learned, which is a lot. I'm gonna try to help you, but then you try to help yourself. We're going to do Tai Chi Walk coming forward, okay? What's our pattern? First we, then we, and then we. What do we do for the transition? We what? Sit back, sit down, and then advance. What's our goal? Our goal is to get to the same line in which you are now standing, but move in that line, in that direction. All right? So we know the answer to that is to always follow the pattern. Make sure that after your zigzag, you do a straightaway. The easiest way that I can explain that is the straightaway has to be on that line that gets you to the opposite room or parallel to the line. If it's not parallel, you're going to go haywire, okay? So don't be afraid. If you go haywire, that's room for me to teach more and room for you to learn more, okay? But be strict with yourself, and I'm sure that you'll be in the vicinity of that line. So no one asked me this, but Ken says maybe they don't know that you don't have to go 180 degrees. All you need to do is a 45 degree. So if this is a 90 or 180 degree, the pivot out is just a 45 degree, okay? Just remember that the straightaway is your L stance. If you know L stance, that L stance is a straight foot, and it's out and to the side rather than just out here, because you know we have to turn. Just remember that once we take a zigzag, the L stance is on a line or parallel to that advancing line that you want to go back to or get to, okay? All right, let's not worry too much. Let's just kind of figure it out as we go, okay? Hands at your waist. Good Tai Chi posture. Using your right heel, you're going to pivot on a zigzag, zigzag, firm down, substantial foot. Left foot is going to be a straightaway on a line or parallel on your heel, right? You're going to unleash that energy and come down on a bow stance, straightaway. To get to a zigzag, we have to sit back and we have to sit down to alleviate the weight of the advancing foot to come out to a zigzag. Firm down, drill down, substantial. Heel on a straightaway or a line. Turn the hips and waist, flatten down, straightaway, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, store that energy, zigzag. Firm down, substantial, straightaway, heel, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, shift your weight, heel on the line or parallel, turn the hips and waist, straightaway, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, 45, shift your weight, heel on a line, straight away, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out on a 45, shift the weight, substantial, heel, insubstantial, turn the hips and waist, straight away, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, substantial, heel, straight away, bow. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, substantial, heel, straight away, turn the hips and waist, bow. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, shift weight, heel, straight away, turn hips and waist, bow stance, straight away. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, straight away, turn hips and waist, bow. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, substantial, insubstantial, turn hips and waist straight away. Getting to where you want to be, sit back, sit down. Zigzag, shift weight, heel, turn hips and waist, fold. Okay, stay where you are, stay where you are. Hooray, I'm looking at my class and you are in the same configuration, but forward. Okay, good. Go back to your regular spots. So yes, I had to pour it on, and yes, you got the feeling that I was an old witch, but it worked. I like that. I gotta trick you sometimes. I'm not always nice and soft and easy. But don't worry that whatever I try to teach you, I know that it's not easy. And I know that we have lapses. And so what? You come back and you try to learn it a little bit more. And through that repetition and reinforcement, we will get it down as much as we can and move on. But if you cannot do Tai Chi Walk by yourselves, then you need to work a little harder, because I'm going to be teaching you 16 movements, right? And the movements are not only feet. Whatever the lower part of your body does, the upper part of your body has to match it. But we know that if we take our feet apart and we know automatically what it should do, we have to just set up our hands and the magic of Tai Chi is promoted, okay? And I'm not talking words. I need you to reiterate in your mind what I really am serious about. That will help you with Tai Chi, okay?